RR, probably not going to be phased by this Ogre too much. But they are yet to make another support pick unless we'll just see a position 1
Oh,
Ricky pop up. And that's really a nice pick here into the Ember Mirana Morphling. That smoke screen is going to be a problem.
oh yeah, it really is. The silence just messes up what Morphling wants to do, what Mirana wants to do, and the Ember Spirit as well. So it's a solid pick for RR. The biggest thing here is timing. We've seen a lot of pos 1 Rickies fall behind if their laning phase doesn't go well. So you want to see some decent farm, maybe a good build up into the rate bands to start hunting early, decent timing into the Diffusal or the Battle Fury, and then you'd be pretty set. It's a question of how Drew wants to play this, whether or not he'll go for the slower Battle Fury build or if he's going to go for the more aggressive rate bands into the Diffusal this game.
Find out. SF is now banned for the side of GeekFam, so just respect banning out that Alacrity SF, which is, in my opinion, his best hero. Right? I think when he plays that SF, it really is a problem. RR looking to make their final ban out now. It appears we are still looking for a Cuckoo hero, unless he's going to run some kind of weird Ogre Magi offlane or an Ember or Mirana offlane. But I do believe it will be a Cuckoo hero we're looking for here.
Hmm.
It wouldn't really surprise me though if he does run something like an offlane Ogre Magi. It's something that a player like Cuckoo would do. It's sort of his style to run those more unique offlanes.
Yeah. And of course, if you do run the core Ogre, you can get access to a pretty good Midas timing to just kind of build up faster. So
True.
you can accelerate yourself in that sense if GeekFam wanted to. They do ban out the Shaker from Reality Rift. They don't want to deal with that Shaker more. Of course, it's just annoying. They beat it in game 1, but you don't want to risk it.
Well, our final pickup now. This will reveal what that puck's up to. Whether it's another mid pick or whether it is going to be another support pickup here for RR and they run the mid park, but I doubt that. 10 seconds reserve time. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Why not?
It's on the pool.
If it's not broken, John, you don't fix it, right? You just go back to that hero. This is into an Ember Ogre, though, so there is way more ways to burn through Refraction. And arguably, if Carl does run the mid Ember, he should have a much better time than last game around. But overall,
sure.
I like where RR's gone with the draft. I think it's quite nice.
Yeah, I think the timings are very similar to how game 1 was for RR. So you look for that same timing with the aggression, with the items coming out. If they can get that exact same pace, I don't think it's going to be too different. GeekFam, they didn't stray too far away from the original draft as well. It's still centered on the Raven Morph. So that's still the focal point of this draft. And Reality Rift, they've still got that Alacrity TA. So the core of each draft is still kind of the same. We'll see if the differences around it is enough to change the pace for GeekFam. That's the biggest issue. As you mentioned, the last pick is looking like the Cuckoo Hero pickup, unless they run the offlane Ember for whatever reason. But again, up against a TA, you're probably just going to leave that matchup alone. The Queen of Pain hasn't been banned out, so maybe they give Cuckoo that again. No.
Okay. Slaughter, it makes enough sense. Going into a Ricky TA. It's fair enough. You just go for that Slaughter. You have that Corrosive Haze. Overall, I really like both drafts, if I'm perfectly honest. I think this game could really go either way. It should be quite an explosive matchup.
Oh, yeah.
But I think GeekFam this time around will really ensure that Alacrity on that TA does not have a decent time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they tried it in game 1. They had a Pango, they had a Quap. Alacrity still found what he wanted. So this time, just a little bit trickier for him to find that. Of course, the Ember Spirit up against TA, you're probably looking at level 2 to 3 when the Ember starts to be able to deal with the TA. Before that, if Alacrity plays his positioning right, he should be able to get some decent harassment on again. So you have to see Carl tighten up that mid and prevent Alacrity from finding that early snowball.
Yeah. Well, he does have a much better matchup, though. Right? The Ember versus TA is much more standard than the Pango versus TA.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure he'll enjoy himself a lot more this time around. As well as that, RR don't have that delay ability like they had in Game 1, right? That offlane tree and protector, just making it so no tier 1s went down at the end of the game. You're not going to have that same option there. So Alacrity won't have as much time to be able to farm up and get to that ridiculous 6-slotted point. And we'll see if GeekFam can really just start applying a lot of pressure and actually give Raven more time. Because Raven didn't have a good laning stage, he didn't have a good mid game, and we didn't even really reach the late game for that game number 1. So see if they can change things up a little bit here going into this this second game of this best of 2.
Yeah, I think the one thing for GeekFam right off the draft is that they've got a lot tankier heroes this time around. So you're not going to have those issues in trading that we were seeing earlier. Level 1, you just saw Zephyr get zoned out really hard. I don't think that's going to be happening while he's on Murana, and Cuckoo as well on the Slardar is going to be able to pop a little bit more. So RR is not going to be able to shove these guys out from the start, and that does mean you're going to have to contend with a little bit more coming out from GeekFam.
I haven't heard that voice line. That oh my god. That's a new one for me, John. I probably can't afford to get to that point. So it's like level 1000 or something for the battle pass. Something like that, surely. They just put all the good ones all the way at the end. It's not very nice at all.
That's how it is. Gotta support the prize pool for next year, Mike.
Yeah. GeekFam roaming up top lane as 3. Of course, you have a lot of first blood potential here with this Murana Ogre Slardar. It's almost like a Tusk, right, with these pos 4 Muranas. You just try and go for that early first blood if you can. And I imagine Zephyr might just make a rotation up top, ask for a stun, follow up with an arrow, and just secure an easy first blood on that Riki.
Yeah, it's gonna be really straightforward. They've got so many stuns this time. Got Cuckoo around. Of course, you've got Whitemon around if he does opt for an early stun level. So a lot of potency in that trade, and it does look like RR will be rotating Nuts up top. He is gonna have to help Drew out because the Riki alone is not gonna have a good time.
Now, Whiteman just going to already show Drew what's about to happen. He asked for a high five, Drew. Come on, Whiteman, give him a high five. No high fives here. Fire Blast into the arrow. It was a very short arrow, though. Not going to lead into a first blood. And it looks like they won't actually try again. Whiteman's going to TP down to the bot lane on the Ogre. He'll make sure Raven has a decent old time. And ultimately, it looks like just getting Drew down to that half HP point is enough. In fact, Arrow again going to land there with the stun from Cuckoo, but Drew going to try and blink out of there. One more attack would have done the job, but they just don't have enough. Poor old Drew, just really coughing it.
Yeah, he's gonna have to eat through a lot of his early regen fast, and this is a good shakeup for GeekFam. We saw them on the opposite end in Game 1, where Cuckoo was being zoned out, and where Zephyr just couldn't do anything. With this kind of shakeup in the pace, it's gonna be hard for Drew to find that early farm in this case.
And it will be. Looking over to that mid lane as well. For now, everything is fairly even between the two. Just trading farm as we expect from a TA versus Ember matchup. Things will probably get a little more aggressive once we get to that level 3 or 4 mark between these two, but I think Carl is even going to be a little bit more hesitant how aggressive he gets on Alacrity, considering Game 1 and how that ended up for him. Get there with the Flame Guard, but Alacrity just gives him a Meld Strike back, and that's one of the key things. In fact, look at Alacrity. He hasn't actually got Refraction. He hasn't skilled it up because he knows he wouldn't be able to use it anyway. That's genius.
I love it. He's still dominating this lane. And it still boils down to the fact that Alacrity doesn't care for the shield. The only thing that stops is his own shield, which, if you don't level up, that's not an issue. So every single time Carl comes in, he gets punished hard, and Alacrity, if he's not contested, is going to have pretty much the same timings as game 1.
This is the first time I've actually seen this. Like, actually maxing out Meld Strike before Refraction. And the beauty of it is, Meld Strike is only 50 mana. But it does so much damage. So Carl can't actually come in close to secure CS because he hasn't really gone for the max sleight of fist either. And he must be wondering right now, where is this Refraction?
Yeah, he's got nothing to burn through, and his laning presence is sort of diminished. You're not seeing Alacrity pull up ahead as much, but you can tell that Carl is having to invest in a lot of regen just to stay in that lane.
Zephyr, top lane, ran out of leap charges, and Nuts will secure the first blood on that Phoenix. And GeekFam, not off to the greatest start. I thought they would be doing a lot better in that offlane after the harassment they dealt out onto Drew, but ultimately Drew seems really unaffected.
Yeah, it does slow down his initial farm just a bit because he had to leave the lane, and that does give Cuckoo a little bit more to play with. Still, you will take that kill, although.
Well, they do get the stun off. There was an arrow there, now bash to the deeps, but of course he has tricks to the trade. They just don't have the damage output quite yet for Drew. He'll just keep farming up, and he does have some insane base regen on that Ricky. Like, he does sit at 7 regen, although falling very low again. Zephyr won't go for the blind arrow. Jump spin for a blink strike to secure a creep, and now Nut's going to show himself back on the Phoenix. But that's one of the really nice things about the Pos 1 Ricky. He has 7 base regen at level 4 with the tower regen helping him out. But with no tangos active, you already have 7 regen going. That's kind of ridiculous.
It definitely is. It's a bit too much to deal with, and that does allow Drew to play in the edge, although, yeah.
Oh, as I look away, Drew does end up falling. Cuckoo does end up getting the kill, and Nuts will be able to soak some XP for himself. I was trying to have a look into that mid lane because it looks like Carl is still having a bit of a struggle here. And well, Carl right now is just stacking up his own jungle.
I mean, he has to. The side lanes can't leave to stack it up. You've been seeing that heavy contention up top, and of course, you want Raven to just have that good time down bot as well. So he's going to have to take care of himself in the jungle. Issue is, you look at Alacrity, he's clearing out the Radiant side camps instead.
Oh. That's standard for a TA. As soon as you find out that there's camps to be taken on the other side, you just take them. And Carl, he is really starting to suffer. Finding himself 10 last hits behind. Arrow gonna fly in there from Zephyr, but it does not land. And Alacrity now level 6, while Carl is just about to hit that level 6 mark. It's like bot lane, KYXY gonna be in trouble on the Legion Commander. He will be able to run away. On the brighter side for GeekFam, you look over to Raven, he's not having too bad of a time.
Yeah, it's been good farm for Raven. He's not quite finding kills like Drew is, though, so I'd say Drew is having a bit of a better start in terms of killing off that off lane, and overall, Reality Rift still having a bit of a slight lead in terms of net worth because of that.
That is true. Even KYXY, like, although we've seen him fall quite low in HP, he is dominating in terms of CS. Currently second only to his TA, and now Whiteman going to be chased down. They don't have the level 6 on the LC yet, so they can't opt for a duel. Raven is going for that very similar build we see on every Morphling player. Just the double Wraith Bands into the Treads, and probably the Morbid Mask after that. In fact, I believe he has bought out the Morbid Mask. It's just going to be a matter of whether he can get past that point. Because we saw last game, he just struggled to get anywhere after picking up those initial core items for the Morph.
Yeah, it was a bit tricky for him last time. I don't think he's going to have as many issues here. The one thing is, RR, with the much greater lineup they have, right? They've got a Phoenix that needs EXP, a Puck that needs XP, both on the support role. They still are finding that. Like, there's not enough pressure from GeekFam to stop them from coming up to these lanes and still soak towards their level 6.
Well, Carl is trying to go after Alacrity. Alacrity kind of baiting him in, it seems like. Although he is in trouble. Nice chains coming out, and Carl does secure the kill. I didn't think he was going to have quite enough, but he definitely did. And there was a Fairy Fire available there for the TA. He just doesn't bother popping it. Meanwhile, top lane, Zephyr does end up killing off Nuts on the Phoenix. Another nice kill coming out for GeekFam. And that does apply a bit more pressure onto RR.
Yeah, all these kills helping the cause. The biggest one really was on Alacrity. He was finding a bit too much down mid. So having Carl get that kill is a huge boon. Still, this is the point where Alacrity just goes into the jungle and stacks for himself and clears out those stacks anyway. So he's still going to be having that pace. GeekFam, they should start shutting down that jungle unless they want to deal with another farm TA game.
Well, for now, Carl's just going to try and enjoy the mid lane while he has a chance. Alacrity is clearing out his jungle now. Does also get an Iron Talon, which is very, very lucky for a TA. Going to be a very nice feeling for him. Bot lane Raven, going to be chased down. You still don't have that level 6 though on KYXY. So you can't really lock down the Morphling long enough. But Raven is certainly starting to feel that pressure as well. Like, he has been behind in net worth a little bit. Slowly catching up.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue for this lane is that Whitemon can't really do much to relieve this pressure anymore. Sure, he's a tanky ogre, but he can't really deal with KYXY. He just purges off the slows and DOT, so Whitemon is just kind of forced to walk around and maybe find stacks, maybe harass Alacrity a bit. Otherwise, there's not much you can really expect the ogre to do now.
Well, he's going to try and soak some XP there from Alacrity. Alacrity doesn't quite finish off the ancient stacks as he has got creeps by his tier 1 tower. Nuts will actually remain in that mid lane just to make sure that nothing happens to the TA, as Carl has started to really get out of control here on the Ember. 10-minute bounty runes. No real fight breaking out. Neither side really interested. They just want to keep farming up for now, it seems.
Yeah, and on top of that, GeekFam did take the top outpost right before the timer hit. So they got both pieces of EXP, just a little bit of a boost for themselves. And considering the fact that their supports haven't really been able to soak as much, that's a huge help.
He goes down mid lane. Carl, though, is falling low. Does have a remnant coming up, though. Hustler is there with the Dream Coil, and Drew joins in as well. They will find that mid-ember. That's a very, very important kill there for RR. I mean, you lose the Phoenix, but you don't mind if you're going to get an Ember in return.
Yeah, it's a really nice win for RR. This is dragging Drew down mid. So they are leaving that top lane for Cuckoo to take for free. And they're kind of starving the Ricky of lane farm.
Yeah, but look at that mid lane, John. It's being forced in now by Alacrity and Drew. Problem is that Siege Creep does end up dying thanks to Zephyr, and that will just stop the push altogether. Top lane, they jump onto Nuts. He will survive KOXY. He does have the Jewel available with that Sunray. They should have enough damage to burst down the Ogre, or maybe they don't. He is just way too tanky, but they will eventually kill him off. Now, Cuckoo. With the Moonlight Shadow going to start flying in onto Nuts. They do get a nice chains off there from Carl, and with the follow-up stun, Nuts will end up dying again.
Yeah, and I love the aggression coming out from GeekFam. Cuckoo's enabled to do this even without the blink. So it's been a lot more activity for him compared to game 1. And the early rotation from Carl helping out as well is keeping a lot of things from RR in check. The only person really farming up great is Alacrity, but you look at Drew this time around, his progression on that Ricky is not really that close to how Raven's doing. So GeekFam has corrected the farming issue they were having in game 1, And Drew now is kind of suffering. They really are kind of depending on Alacrity to still hit that mid-game timing he did in game 1.
Yeah, that they are. I mean, by this point, he had the Desolator up. And I believe he had the Blink up as well. He was farming very, very quick on that TA last game. Still, he is at the top of the net worth board now. So he has kind of caught his way back in. Does have the Deso very, very soon on that TA. Top lane is going to start being forced in here from Raven, though KYXY will threaten with his presence. You've got Cuckoo around as well, just keeping eyes on everyone with that Corrosive Haze. But GeekFam are just bringing more and more heroes up. Now Carl will join in. Double damage activated as well to make matters worse. And now KYXY going to be chased down. Nice overwhelming odds. And Sunray is there in the back lines. Nuts does have egg. He will pop it. Where's the jewel? Not coming out. KYXY, he will just die. The egg didn't really do enough. Hustler, got to get out of there, but Carl is not done. He wants to keep chasing here on that Ember, getting another nice chains off. Dream Coil there, but won't really do much. As Cuckoo will also chase down Nuts. A great Sunray, but no, what a stun from Cuckoo. Nuts was already off the map, but it won't matter. 3 heroes going down for the side of RR, and well, luckily Drew is still alive. He's going to try and get Cuckoo here, and he does get the Slaughter. In fact, he's going to go after Zephyr on that Mirana. Can he kill him off in time? No, not quite. The stun is there from Drew. And he can't get in range to take out the Mirana, nor does he have the detection. But at the very least, he does defend that top T1 tower.
Comes at a really big cost, and GeekFam are starting to apply that early pressure with their draft. They're just managing to group up a lot earlier. This is down to the fact that Carl on the Ember is really hard to deal with. He's got the Vanguard up. Not the most common first pickup on the Ember Spirit, but it does allow him a lot of much more greater presence. They have relied on him to be in the front, and it has been paying off. There is still a slight lead for RR, but majority of that is on Alacrity. So the other cores of RR are suffering because of this.
Yeah, I actually don't mind that Vanguard pick. It is very unique, but when you've got so much physical damage there from RR, it makes enough sense. Chain's going to come out. Drew getting caught out. That's going to be a big pick off here. He's in trouble. He has help though. Dream Coil going to be there. Carl has been stuck. They will jewel him up. Now the egg even flying out just in case. Whiteman trying to take that egg down, but he will not. No, he does get it off. He does lose his life in the process, and now Zephyr also going to be chased down. He will just leap away. Drew doesn't have any more blink strikes, and now Raven jumps in.
No.
Does almost find Drew, but he's still running away. Here comes Cuckoo now, the Slaughter. He'll go on to Alacrity, but he'll turn around with a Meld Strike. Now Hustler going back in with the Orb. KYXY as well, trying to rush in, but Raven, he gets a double kill in the back. Alacrity and Drew both going down to this Morphling. And now KYXY trying to run. Another great overwhelming odds. Will try and turn back around onto Cuckoo, but Arrow connecting from Zephyr, but the Sunray will be enough. Now Hustler jumps back in. Zephyr goes down, but here comes Carl. It's an absolute brawl going on in this mid lane. KYXY still trying to run away. Carl waiting for his chains to be back up off cooldown. Wants to keep going, but now Hustler is there with the silence. He almost has Dream Coil back up. He might even commit it here. No, he'll hold on. There's no mana left on KYXY for the jewel. In fact, he does have some now. Well, what a prolonged team fight from both these sides.
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. In the end, I want to say that really favored GeekFam. They lost their mid-tier 1, but you got 2 big kills onto Raven. This is going to speed up his progress towards his SNY.
Drew. That is a dangerous place to try and farm in, Mr. Drew. And Cuckoo, of course, there with the Corrosive Haze will give vision, and it's just a very, very easy pick-off once again for the side of GeekFam.
Yeah, you can't afford to farm that far forward on the Riki. They're just going to have detection everywhere from GeekFam's side. That's because they get so much more value from each sentry. They're not just spotting the Riki, but also preventing Alacrity from having free reign. So, with that much value, they're just going to keep all of these sentries in key spots.
Nuts gonna take over that hard farm there on the Phoenix. Trying to finish off that Spirit Vessel, which is going to be very, very important this game to try and combat Raven. Raven is seemingly going for a very similar build as last game, trying to build into that Manta style. In fact, no. The Sergeant Yasha will be the option this time.
Yeah, he's been working on it for a while. Does get finished up, and this gives him the extra bulk to stand there and fight. I think he realizes that they don't really need a shotgun. It takes a bit too long to build into it. They just need to find these fights.
What was that? Bot lane.
Chain stunts?
No, he was off the map, but I believe because he had no TP available, he just went back onto the map.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that, yeah.
See, usually you're used to kind of seeing a Sunray off the map with a TP, but he actually came back in a different position because he didn't actually TP off the map. Alright, well that's, you learn something new every day. Bot lane, Drew. Smoke screen gonna be there. He'll be okay as Hustler gonna rotate in. He does have the Dream Coil. Cuckoo, oh, they spotted him out. They know he's there. Traps will also give vision. Cuckoo, though, blinking towards the north. He will TP out. Dream Coil gonna be wasted from Hustler. Great juking there from Cuckoo.
Yeah, and with that, with all the commitments down bot, they go straight into the Roche pit. And with a Corrosive Haze, this does not take too long at all.
Yeah, add an arrow stun on top of that, just to really help out. And they must be aware that this is happening on the side of RR, as Alacrity is already running that way. He does have the Deso up. Roshan's still very low, but Alacrity with that trap giving vision. Roshan's still going down. Now the smoke screen being dropped with the Sunray. Roshan's so low, but Raven has picked up the Aegis. He is fine. Now Alacrity with the Meld Strike. Egg in the middle of everybody. Nuts will just end up going down, and now Drew, he's been caught out again. GeekFam, they are not done. They want more. Alacrity TPing away. Carl did not have chains to cancel that off. But GeekFam, they secured the Roche, they got the Aegis, and they found 2 kills on top of that. I think they are very, very happy.
Oh, they definitely are. RR are starting to bleed some ground here. They've got to tighten up their engagements. They can't afford to have Drew get caught out like this consistently. He has no farm. He's still saving up for the defusal, and this is in stark contrast to how well he was doing on the troll in game 1. So a lot of this now is really just on Alacrity to find that momentum for the rest of his team to build off of.
I love the fact that Carl is actually built into a Crimson Guard. When's the last time you saw Crimson Guard Ember?
I want to say never.
Never.
It's not something you
never
see
happened
ever.
No.
It's just really nice to have. You know that Cuckoo can't possibly farm it up because he's not given farm for it, so you need it. And then Nuts
goes down. But this is really clever from GeekFam. Like that Crimson Guard. I understood the Vanguard because, again, it's just so much physical DPS coming out from RR. But now with that Crimson, you just can't fight into GeekFam. Like, there's just no way to get any damage out if you are the Ricky TA. They're going to smoke up. They'll run straight into KYXY here on the LC, and poor old KYXY only has 10 dual damage. Stun, not going to land from Cuckoo. Silence in from Hustle with a double Dream Coil, but here comes Carl. Alacrity pops his BKB now. A duel is out onto the slider, but he's taking no damage. He does finally go down. KYXY, though, should drop here to Carl as well. Gets chained up and does die. Now Whiteman, he will fall to Drew, but Drew is trying to run away from Raven, who is just chasing him down. They commit the egg, but Raven is not done. He wants the Phoenix dead, and he will find it. Now Carl comes in onto Alacrity. That TA is going to melt, and Drew is the only one left. He is surrounded, but do not tell me no one has dust. No, Zephyr has dust. It's just on cooldown, but Drew will get away.
Oh, man. That was still a really bad fight for RR. They're not finding the kills they want. They forced the buyback out from Cuckoo, though. So it's a bit of a consolation prize, but you do see GeekFam finally pull ahead in terms of net worth. 4K advantage, 20 to 11 at 22 minutes in. And RR they've got to play a lot less recklessly. They need to be able to brute force their way through that Crimson Guard. They need a lot more farm in Drew. This is the biggest issue they've had. Drew cannot find farm fast enough. It's a Ricky he's playing. It just doesn't flash farm. Not like the troll. So their pause 1 is just not carrying that weight for them.
He's trying. It really does go back to that Crimson Guard though, doesn't it, John? Like, you saw that last team fight. RR had the advantage. They had the high ground. The initial stun missed. But when you came to that duel point onto Cuckoo, he literally just took no damage.
Yeah, the Crimson Guard's doing a lot of work. I think on top of that, it's the fact that the fights are super splintered. RR is just kind of scattered around every single time. They don't manage to clump up as well, and they don't have anything to punish a clump up. Like, the best they have for AoE is the puck and the egg, and even then, Nuts has not been able to fully channel that egg anyway. So you're losing out on a big 5v5 engagement just by not having that control.
GeekFam, another smoke coming out. I believe that was underneath the Observer Ward though, and it was. So RR should be very, very safe. Nuts. Gotta be faster than that, Nuts. Come on now, you saw the smoke happening. You've got to just Icarus dive out ASAP. I guess for him, he was just going to stand behind to make sure that Alacrity doesn't get caught out on the TA. Because he doesn't currently have a Blink Dagger, so he doesn't really have that mobility. He just has to take the gank for the team.
Yeah, it's not the worst loss. That does reveal Raven's E-Blade as well. So they're fully aware it's up. They do have the BKB on Alacrity to counteract that, but no one else is really kind of safe from that. I guess you could try to dodge it as Ricky, but everyone else is going to be pretty susceptible to that combo.
KYXY. Yeah, he's been caught out. They can't get the adaptive strike off in time, but it won't really matter. He's in a corner, and there it is. Raven does get the kill eventually. In GeekFam, now going to start TPing into the mid lane. They saw Drew there on the Ricky. Carl with the Moonlight Shadow going to roam in. Drew is in big, big trouble. He does get fire blasted into an arrow, and he just dies so quick. Now Nuts trying to run away, but Cuckoo is on the chase. Luckily for Nuts, those TA traps are going to slow down the side of GeekFam. Whiteman is still trying to keep up. Cuckoo does have the blink, and he will eventually get him. Nuts will knock it out.
Oh, it's just slowly RR is just losing heroes one by one. You see Drew staying in the lane when he should know better by now. There's just sentries everywhere he would want to farm. And GeekFam has been consistent about that. He needs to find maybe safer jungle farm. That's where they have some vision control. That's the best you can hope for that Ricky. And you take a look at GeekFam, again, they're just kind of out of control. You look at Raven, 9-0 this time. In stark contrast to game 1, he is doing amazingly well on this morph. He doesn't even have the Shaker to turn into.
That's true. On top of that, Carl is going for a Radiance now. So he's just feeling himself. He's very, very happy with how he's done this game, and I can't blame him. However, top lane, Drew. Looking at Zephyr, a great dream call out with a huge smoke screen from Alacrity. They need to get out of there. They'll lose 2 straight off the bat. Although Cuckoo jumps in with a 4-man stun, but it is not going to matter. He will die. Wow. Okay. 3-man dream call into a 3-man smoke screen. That will turn the tides of any fight. And apparently now Carl is still around in the mid lane. He has 3 remnants available. Drew was not able to get the smoke screen off in time.
Prepare for a lesson.
And that was a big, big play from Hustler.
Oh yeah, it's what they need. They need control in these fights, because if they don't land it, they're just gonna get overwhelmed by GeekFam. And as long as Hustler can keep doing that, you're gonna see a lot of good results. He's got the Blink Dagger up and running as well. So it's going to be easier to consistently do that. It's just that GeekFam, I'm sure, now that they're aware, are going to be a lot more disciplined about that spacing, and the best RR can do right now is to try to take out that tier 2 bot.
Well, they'll protect one range creep, and that'll be enough to start forcing this in, but Moonlight Shadow out from GeekFam. They're more than happy to try and team fight. They won't really get involved. Not quite yet. Perhaps now, Zephyr could find a nice arrow to start off, but no. They're just going to try and de-ward their jungle. Trying to get control back their way.
Yeah, that should help out a bit. You still got a lot of room to grow, especially on Drew. Like, his farm has just slowed down so much. He's still trying to finish up the Manta style, which it's still useful, but Dust is your least worry now. Even a Corrosive Haze is the least of your worries. There's just so many other sources of vision that GeekFam has really been applying, and I think you start to look to Drew to maybe really wait out the BKB first before forcing those aggressive moves. You see Carl finishing up that Radiance you were talking about, and this does give him a lot more presence in the fights, just constant damage coming out, a bit more tankiness overall with the mischance. That's going to hurt Alacrity a fair bit.
Carl. Remnant out. KYXY would love to find that jewel, but I kind of doubt whether they can get through the all the defensiveness of this Ember right now. Zephyr trying to look for a Yules, does get it onto KYXY. Now the arrow follow-up is there, but where's the rest of it? Looks like the rest of RR were right behind. Now Alacrity jumps in. Does get fire blasted up, and GeekFam are just unwilling to fight right now, it seems. Though, Carl does get caught out with the Dream Core. They're going to try and jump in on the Ember. He does have his team to back him up. They'll just control up KYXY. Now Raven coming in. They blow up the LC. They blow up Drew on the Ricky. The tips coming out immediately from Cuckoo. And now Alacrity, he's been left alone. He will also die. That's what they were waiting for, GeekFam. They wanted to pay back the side of RR for giving those tips over to them earlier on.
Oh man, RR, that was not the way to engage. Like, sure, you catch out the Ember. You need to catch out 3 of your heroes. Every single time, not just one. It's not enough to just pin down Carl. The follow-up from the rest of GeekFam is a bit too much, and with that, GeekFam, they get to shove in a mid-tier 2. The Roche is up and running. They're just gonna go secure that objective first.
Why not? Easy Roshan to be taken here once again. This will be the second Roshan GeekFam does claim this game. They just get bigger and bigger as time goes on, these guys. Ravens are very close now to that Eye of Skadi pickup. Can afford that secondary ultimate orb. But for now, we'll just hold on to that Aegis, give the cheese away to Carl, and on to that Dyed Triangle where Hustler does scout them out. Drew may not be so lucky though. Cuckoo is right after him, though maybe they just settle for KYXY. They get the stun off, arrow to follow up as well, and poor old KYXY is going to get a shotgun blast right to the front. And it's back into the mid lane where perhaps now they try to force high ground.
Yeah, they certainly can. You see Hustler trying to cut through. Does clear the previous wave, so they're only going to have one wave to work with.
Chains going to be out. In fact, no, that was a stun on the Park, but he will be okay. That tier 3 tower is definitely not going to be alright though. Chains out on the Phoenix with the arrow, and again, Zephyr this time around picking up the kill on the Mirana. Bot lane, Cuckoo will back off. Does actually find Drew out here on the Ricky. Drew trying to get himself out of there, but he's currently being chased down with the Corrosive Haze. He does Diffusal Blade the Slaughter. Cuckoo unwilling to let him go. But Drew is making it very, very difficult for Cuckoo. Now, still finds a stun. He does have that gem up. And with that, Drew just can't get back to the base. They'll bring Zephyr in now. Yule's up into the arrow, and this should mean a dead Ricky, and it will be. While all that's happening, the side of GeekFam does take the mid racks, and now we're up onto the top racks.
Oh, RR, it's just going to be really hard to defend, although.
They jump in, a lot of damage being dealt into that Ogre, a duel out onto Carl, but they are dealing no damage to the Ember. And again, KYXY will get blown up, and he calls the GG. They haven't got buybacks left on any of their cores. And GeekFam, this time around in game number 2, take a very dominant victory.
Yeah, it's a great back and forth overall from both teams, but RR this time around could not hit the timings we saw them hit in game 1. You take a look at Raven, you see how much more he got in this game. He basically wasn't killed off at all. 13-0 on that Morphling. A very great game for him, and RR were just unable to punish.
With that, John, that means we do get to go into our next series of the day. Now, this will be an interesting one. Fnatic is going to be up next, going up against T1. The debut of T1 for the BTS Pro Series number 2. I look forward to it quite a bit. I believe we will be having about a 20-minute break, and straight after that 20 minutes, we'll be into the Game 1 draft. It is MLP and JohnXFire. We'll see you all again as soon as that draft is available.